Hello everyone and welcome back to Opinion Sustain. And yet again, I will be ranting about a very sad topic for today. Now, sad for people who are into games, people who believe the DMCA system is a little bit off recently. There is a sort of foundation called Video Game History Foundation, and they are a non-profit foundation that is simply based on creating the history and preserving it for games. Now, games are an essential part of our living. It's been there for years and years through their upcoming or their rise with the computer, with computers and the internet and so on and so forth. Now, we have been brought up, some of us people who are millennials and way before have seen other games that are very old, like Pokemon, the very older version, Nintendo's other Nintendo old games that are actually very difficult to run today. You need an emulator for them to run, and you need an emulator to understand their code. Now, this foundation, Video Game History Foundation, does move to preserve the code and the history of these games. Now, there is an issue. As of October 25th, 2024, the United States Office for Copyrights have struck down a major effort for game preservation. The publishers that have been going up against this foundation has said essentially, according to this journal, or rather article, that preserved video games would be used for recreational purposes. Now, in simpler terms, recreational purposes is fun. That's what they assume recreational is. It's not for learning, it's not for understanding how older versions work, nor why they exist. And this is a problem for a multitude of reasons. One, currently we live in a world that is about 13% of the true history of games, of gaming in general, gaming codes, understanding the code and the future of the code. 13% of its real history is right now. And the problem is this number keeps degrading a little bit. And we can't actually preserve the older version without this DMCA system being a bit more logical. Now, what do I mean by this? They're basically saying that emulators are not allowed to be used by this foundation. Therefore, their library, which they are trying to make, their project is code preservation and a research library, similar to books and movie libraries, by the way, which are currently available everywhere, all over the place. The VHS histories, libraries of VHS, libraries of the movies, and libraries of books, old books. But they're trying to do that with games because not everyone has a Nintendo DS or Game Boy that's deteriorated and is no longer being sold, unless of course you're going for people who are scamming you online, and they are basically not providing anything else to allow for these games to at least keep going. They're like, well, we're not gonna sell it, but we're also not going to allow you to use this code and enjoy it up in your own time. Yes, the game has been out for well over 20, 40 years even, some of them. But no, you're not going to actually have any say in this and it's over. That's it. We're going to shoot this game in the leg. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make sense. It simply shuts down all possible learning and traditions, and looking at these games and their research codes is just not going to be available. Now, this battle has been going on, according to Video Game History Foundation, has been going on for 3 years now. And the topic itself was shut down completely as of 25th of October. And this is an issue. This is an issue for us, for everyone in gaming in general. Because as long as companies and the DMCA system believes that the players do not own the games that they pay for, similar to what Ubisoft says and many other companies sort of agree with silently, we will never get what we deserve, what we paid for, basically. And it's sad. It's fairly disgusting and it's sad, and the topic itself is really sad because it also mentions that, for example, the Steam, which is the biggest library in the world, if Steam at some point shuts down, we lose access to all the games that we bought. Now, of course, Steam is the biggest video game seller right now, okay? And if it does shut down at any point in its lifetime, then it's probably the end of the world anyways, because it's just too big to fail. But the idea itself that Steam and many other video game sellers are not actually selling you the game, they're selling you a license. And that means at some point, if it shuts down, you're not allowed to access the game that you have rightfully bought, by the way. You're not allowed to enjoy it yet again. games like For Honor, games like Dishonored, and so on and so forth. Unless you're buying them from GOG, which is GOG, the same people who are supporting Witcher 3 and so on and so forth. The DMCA system there is non-existent basically, and there's no DRMs, so what you buy is what you get. You can get the game and you can play the game. You're allowed to do that, but it's not the same on most other systems, and it's sad. It's an L basically. It's very sad. I have read about this and have gained some inspiration from the Act Man. He is the first person who made the video. I just took inspiration from him, so I'm not going to take any credit, or at least most of the credit, and I will link his video as well in the description for people to see it as well. He seems to be going a bit more in depth on his own motives and his own games that he has played back then, and yeah, I think this is sad. This is incredibly sad. Either way, if you have kept up at the very end, thank you for watching. You can subscribe and like, maybe. Either way, it's up to you. Make sure to check out the resources in the description as well, and check out the Act Man. And this is the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have had a nice day.